Hey everyone, Tom here from the Cloven team, coming today with a demo overview of the product. It's something we've heard from a lot of our clients who said, hey, for the demo that I booked with you, we want to keep it very focused. And so instead of just going through features, maybe we could do that ahead of time in a video like this. That's the point of it. And then we can get right into the questions here. So that's what this is intended to do. It's going to give you an overview. It's not going to be everything. There's a lot of stuff in a CRM. This is just more or less the high level of the main things that you can expect. And then of course, anything coming out of this, we'd be more than happy to get into way more detail during our actual call together. So let's get right into it here. So this is the Cloven homepage. Each different box here, we call those different components on the homepage. You can see it's a lot of stuff just to kind of give you, little things of what's going on in your system, right? So honestly, it makes a lot more sense kind of at the end once you kind of understand how all the systems work together. But at a super high level, you can kind of see what they are, right? So things like annual reviews this month, upcoming term life, my to-do list, open tasks, even birthdays this month for different clients. It's all there. It's all great. But one of the great things about Cloven is, we say we'll take you 80% of the way there. We know, we work with a ton of great financial advisors. They do a lot of different things, insurance, investments, financial plans, and we'll get into all those. And so we'll get you 80% of the way there, but we also understand that everyone's a little bit different, right? Maybe, okay, you only actually do insurance, you don't do investments. Maybe you send that to a portfolio manager, or maybe you just don't even touch it. And so you can tweak the entire system to really match what makes the most sense for you. So as a very simple example, in that one I gave, I just do insurance. So this idea of annual reviews, I don't really do them, or maybe you don't care about birthdays, whatever it might be, you can just hit reorder. And it's all kind of drag and drop, very easy, very customizable to you and your business, how you like to do business. You can make it nice and big like this. I don't necessarily recommend it, but you could, right? It's all there. It's all very easy just to kind of modify. We have different charts here that you could even use. There's active policies, so maybe I bring that up. My open task, maybe that's a much nicer homepage, right, for someone who does insurance. So, it's just a very simple example, but here to show you how, the system is adaptable to you, not the other way around. So that's the homepage, and like I said, usually makes a bit more sense at the end, but that's the high level. Let's get into actually getting into the system itself. And so really this is your navigation here. So contacts, households, companies, insurance, investments, financial plans, all those things I was just talking about, even customer support and some of these other things here, which, I think if we'll have some time to at least touch on. And so, yeah, in a CRM like this, the lifeblood, the thing that you start with is always going to be your contacts, right? And we'll get into that in a sec. And all these other things kind of speak for themselves. The only one I really kind of spend just a second or two explaining is this households, companies, because it's a bit of, some people call this accounts. There's a lot of different ways you can call this, but basically the most simple way to think of it is it's a group of people, right? So it could be a household, hey, mother, father, bunch of kids, you can group them together in a household. Or maybe if you do group benefits, it's a company, right? So you want to have everyone in the company. Or maybe you're just doing life insurance for, the owner of a company, and you just want to track that company. That's the place you're going to do it. So we keep them separate. So there's people, and then there's groups of people, and that's what these two things are. So like I said, the contacts, the people, this is really kind of your lifeblood. This is where you're going to be spending probably most of your time. A good chunk of your time is just in the contacts. And when I get to this screen here, there's actually two views I want to touch on. It really kind of depends on you, where you are at in your business. So a lot of people like this view if, maybe you're a bit more mature in your business, you have a really great list of clients, not really looking to grow and of course not shrink it, but you have a really rock solid group of people that you deal with. And, that's a great view for that, where you kind of just see all those people, contact information, age, different things like that. It's all very easy. And, the nice thing about this is that, I could come in here, this is a very simple feature, but we could say, okay, well, show me all my people who I've tagged as an A+ client, right? So you can see we have these different types of tags that you can kind of identify groups of your clients in. I can see, okay, I only got 2 A+ clients, but they're A+, and for those people, maybe I want to send them a quick text message, right? Less people are doing that, to be honest. More people just send an email, but both are possible and both are very common. So this is a great view. Do kind of these types of things where I'm just kind of doing maintenance, making sure that all my clients, regardless of their tag or how I classify them, are getting touched appropriately. And so that's really the idea of this view here. Now, the alternative, right, the other view I said I'd talk about too, is this called the Kanban view. So this is more so, hey, if you're maybe a bit earlier in your career, or maybe, for whatever reason, you kind of have this revival and say, hey, I really want to build my book of business. This is going to be the view for you. And really what it is, you can see each column is kind of a different step that you'd go through in a prospecting journey, starting from not contacted to attempted contact to doing some analysis for them, getting contact, maybe doing a discovery call, quoted, and then becoming an active client. And so each one of these columns here is a step in the process. You can very easily, for Jeff, maybe, I've had a conversation and you need some analysis, very easy to just kind of click and drag and work your way through this. And yes, very much so like the homepage, you can customize these columns. So for you, you might look at this and say, hey, I like to add it, or I'll just call it something slightly different. This is completely customizable. So it's your pipeline, the way you like to follow up with your clients. So let's just click on a individual client for a second. So if I click on Jeff, for example, I open up his profile basically. And just as a quick note, even if I was in this view or in this view, it doesn't matter. Clicking on Jeff gets me to the exact same point, which is this. And this is kind of the command center for Jeff, right? So the idea of it becomes, this is this 360 view. Everything that you'd ever want to know about Jeff should be right here on this page. Let's get right into it here. So these at the top, these are kind of the key fields, the things that, hey, we think are pretty important that you should quickly know about. Email, and you can see how quickly I can just kind of come in here. If I know the email, I could add something like that in, very easy to do. But I could also come in here and say, hey, for me and the way I do business, actually what I want to know right away is, are they a smoker or not, right? Okay, and it's just kind of a yes, no, and I could put that in there. Or maybe you do a lot of investments and so you want to know Jeff's available RRSP. I want to be able to see that very quickly, right? Not anything in there because he's a lead right now, so maybe I don't know this information, but you can see that info very quickly. But then also I have this option to show details, and this shows everything, right? So his marital status, all his contact details, all the things really that are important for you to really serve Jeff properly. So net worth information, investment information, income information, estate planning information, all these types of things. And I won't go through every single field, but it's all stuff that, of course, is important for you to do your job, but even more so, they're great compliance tools, right? So if you're doing, KYCs and you're asking these types of questions, you can have it embedded right in here. And so it's well recorded, it's all here, and you don't have to look anywhere else to understand these key metrics for your clients. The other great thing about this, I won't show you specifically, but again, you can actually customize this. So, maybe for example, I don't know, I've seen this where, as a welcome gift, you always send a gift card to a restaurant, let's say. And so you want to keep track of that person's favorite restaurant. You could put that in. You could say favorite restaurant. That's a new field that I want to track for each of my clients. Put that in, and Jeff, you can put in whatever, the keg, right? It doesn't, whatever it might be, you can have all those details right there. So I'm going to hide that, and then everything after the details are what we call kind of related lists. It's a fancy word. This is actually a navigation pane that will quickly go through each of these related lists very quickly for you, right? So you can kind of click and you can see how it just kind of scrolls me down to the appropriate section. But really, it's just all the things related to Jeff that, again, in the nature of a 360 view of all the things you've done with him, this is what it provides. So I'm going to do just a very quick version of each of these things here, just to give you an overview. So notes are notes, right? Straightforward. The great thing about it is a timestamped, who did them, all great things. And you can even say, hey, you can tag your teammate. So I have Sam, the assistant. Can you send him the keg gift card? So not only is it a place really good for compliance reasons, hey, all those interactions you have with Jeff, noted, timestamped, who did it, when, but it's also a collaboration tool, right? So notes are great, and they kind of speak for themselves, but of course very important. Emails again more or less speak for themselves. The cool thing is this will integrate with your inbox, so when you set it up for the first time, all the emails you've ever sent or received to jeff@gmail.com automatically show up here, and that's going forward too. So it's not something you're gonna have to manually manage and click and drag emails in. You're gonna more or less have a pretty good repository here. Attachments, likewise, this is more so as a place where you can just kind of come and upload them. And, so I could upload and click and drag a file. So that's more, I guess, more click and drag. But I can also come in here and you can see there's options to connect to other things. So a lot of our clients use OneDrive. And so you can actually come in here, connect to OneDrive. And by doing that, all the attachments related to Jeff's folder in OneDrive can show up here in the CRM. Scrolling through, a couple other quick ones I want to make sure I touch on. So relationships. Kind of speaks again for itself, okay, different people that they're related to. So I can quickly come in here and say, actually, he's related to David and they're brothers, right? Something like that. And I can toss that in there and now it's being tracked for me, right? Same with different relationships I might have with companies. And then down here, these are all kind of maybe the transactions, products you've done with, in this case, Jeff, insurance, investments. So all those, we'll get into those when we get into those modules, but you'll be able to see all the products if you do insurance, if you do investments, be able to see all those things you've done with Jeff. And then the last thing I'll kind of round out with this is just going to be your enclosed activities. So activities is a big part. This again is any interaction that you have that isn't an email, isn't a note, isn't all the stuff that we talked about already. These are more kind of day-to-day type things. And so your options, you can see them here, are tasks, to-do list items. So this might be is more for yourself internally, saying, hey, I want to follow up. A meeting, so what it sounds like, meeting with Jeff, and even a phone call. And you can come in here, I can create a new task, and I say, hey, I need to follow up, and I need to do that in 2 days, and actually I'm gone in 2 days, so maybe Sam needs to do that. And you can put that in there, and automatically it's tracked there. It's tracked up here, and since Sam is the one assigned to it, she's going to get notified on the day of that this needs to get. So it's a great way to make sure nothing is falling through the cracks. The other two here, meetings and calls, they again kind of speak for themselves, but the cool thing again with this integrates. This can integrate with your Outlook, your Gmail, whatever you're using for your calendar. So as you have meetings with Jeff, it'll appear here. And even open calls, some of our clients use like a VoIP voice over IP. We can integrate with like Ring Central. I'm blanking on other ones, but Zoho Voice is another very common one. GoToMeeting, they have their own version of that. And so all those different services can be integrated with the CRM. And so what it does is that if you're using that voice over IP, it'll track it. It'll allow you to click to call. So I could just come in here, click this button, and it'll start a phone call. And if Jeff calls you, it'll appear in the bottom right corner, hey, incoming call from Jeff, right? So that's where I'll pause here for the contact, but hopefully you can see how it's all coming together, where this is really that 360 view, right? I challenge anyone watching to think about, hey, what's an interaction with Jeff that I would do that doesn't show up here, right? And it's all here, notes, meetings, calls, emails, even text messages. We didn't talk about that even, but you can even have text message conversations here. So everything that you'd ever really do with Jeff should be here, right? That's really the point of it, and it brings it all together. So there's nothing's falling through the cracks, especially compliance and audit reasons. It's all going to be there, ready to go for you. So let's keep going then, kind of through these different ones here. The households companies, that's really, like I said, just a group of people, right? So it can be a household like it's showing here, or it could be a company like it's showing there. And, between those two, it's very simple, right? I can click on, let's say, Blue Root, for example, and I can see for that particular company, very much so like the client, all the kind of same things, the notes, the attachments, insurance policies that we've done with them, even the context underneath it. And you can see it's kind of cool here. You can see kind of a nice view there that shows, okay, there's Blue Root, and here are the people who work at Blue Root that I'm working with. And then, these are the different policies that I've done with them. So, honestly, it's very similar to the contact. It just kind of rolls it all up, right? So if I make a note on Kenneth, it's going to roll up to Blue Root Inc. So at the Blue Root level as this company, I can see everything that's going on with the company. Then I can also click into an individual like sample contact, and I can see what's going on with this individual person. So it just allows you to kind of group these different people together and see all the same information. And the big difference, of course, is instead of contact details, right, in the details section, it's going to be more client details. Things like, well, you can see here, I say, okay, this is a company, and then when I do that, company information, like is it a whatever type of ownership, name of the legal entity, is there a website that I want to reference, all this kind of stuff that you maybe think about at a higher level than you would at an individual person, right? What's the industry that this company is in, right? So that's all of that is there. Continuing along here, insurance investments, these are those products, of course, these are the products that we're talking about. And, I'm going to start sounding like a broken record, but we do this on purpose, right? Every single one of these different tabs here are intended to be very, very similar, but they just have little tweaks so that you can record the relevant information. So for insurance, you can see this view here actually looks very similar to my prospecting view, and very much so like my prospecting. If I didn't want to see it this way, I just want to see a list of, my current policies that I have in force, I could switch over to this view, right? So it just kind of is adaptable to the way you want to be interacting with the system. And of course, this pipeline here, it's a little different than prospecting because maybe, okay, you've worked with a client already. Now they're ready to do a new policy or maybe an upgrade to their policy. Instead of redoing the prospecting, which doesn't make as much sense, you can use this view here to be able to kind of go left to right and those different stages there. And if I click in, again, the view and the field looks very similar. I have the related lists. I have details that are, of course, now going to be specific to the policy that I'm working on. So the amount, the premium, and the insurer, policy number. This is a disability policy, and so you can come in here and see specific fields related to disability. But you can also see if I switch this over, actually, no, it's a life policy, Again, it quickly snaps, shows you new fields that are going to be relevant for this. A lot of people look at this and they look at this drop down. They say, I don't do group benefit, I don't do disability, take it out, take it out. I don't do travel, even take it all out. And again, that's okay. And that's actually something that will help you with in your onboarding. Say, okay, what of these policies do you actually work on? Okay, great. Let's take out the rest. And so you're laser focused on what makes the most sense for you. And so just kind of continuing through here, investments are very similar. Of course, you see I'm in the other view right now of just kind of existing investments that I have. Yeah, I can click in, again, sound like broken record, but things that are relevant to an investment. So, okay, what kind of account is this in? It's in an RSP. I can see what's the status of that investment. Okay, it's active. And then I can say, okay, other things like, okay, what was the risk for on this particular investment? Are we doing regular contributions? Is it a number of units and then I have a share price to then calculate the market value, or is it somehow something different, issue dates, sell dates, all the type of things that you'd expect as you're dealing with an investment. The final two that I'll talk about very quickly for the sake of sounding repetitive is just financial plans. So a lot of clients we work with, we hear one or two, right? So instead of just selling a policy, someone coming and saying, hey, a 10-year term life or 20-year term life, saying, here you go, it's a lot more holistic of an approach. So coming in and saying, hey, let's look at you completely and do a full plan, and then coming out of that plan, it's probably going to be a policy or maybe an investment that will come out of that. And that's their business, and that works really well for a lot of people. Other people we see too are more fee for service. So they actually don't sell insurance or investments or anything like that. They do completely financial plans. In doing so, all they do is they charge for that service, and then once it's complete, they'll refer it out to actually implement anything coming out of that plan. And so again, we have a nice view to kind of manage the prospecting, or at least the stages, where am I at with each of my different plans. And if I click in a plan, I can see the things, what is this plan for? Is it a financial plan, transition plan, retirement plan? Is it a free or is it a paid plan? Okay, if it's paid, how much are we charging? And of course, all this information, something I haven't talked about before, is great also for reporting, right? Rolling things up. So if you ever want to take a look back and say, hey, how much did I do this year? Or how much is it looking like I'm going to do next month, right? I can actually see those types of things because I have all that information here. And we have a great reporting and analytics suite, which I'm not going to go actually into too much in this call, but it can take all the information in the CRM and show you really nice reports, right? So reports are more like Excel tables, upcoming term life renewals. That's one that I have here. Really nice thing that could, pop in your inbox every month. Analytics are my favorite because this is more of a visual representation of what's going on in your business. Some pre-built ones here, but you can always come in and actually add components to enhance this, to make it your own. And so the last thing to talk about, and then we'll kind of take a quick step back, is just customer service. This is the last type of product. So we have two products, insurance investments. We have two services, financial plans and customer service. And this is more so, this is a fee for service. We see some people who are more holistic with their clients, choose to do this. And this is a great way to track, actions that they might need to do on, policies or investments that they have, right? So, if they have a term life policy, for example, looks like it's Michael Jordan, just basically coming in here and marking that as something that needs to get done, right? And you can very easily click and drag and say that's new, or it's on hold, or it's closed, or even it's escalated, right? And then within that, the urgency of each of them, I can even sort by urgency. So I can do ascending, and you can see the most urgent become at the top like that. So it's a really nice way to kind of see visually, okay, what are the things I need to get done for each of my clients? And then, hopefully over time, everything just kind of ends up over here in that close call. So taking a deep breath there, that's more or less the structure, the overall, all the things you can do in there. There's a lot of other things, like I said, that go into a CRM, but hopefully that gives you a super high level of exactly what's going on. Looking at this, people often say, okay, well, this is great. I really like it, but how do I get all my data in here, right? How is this actually going to do it? And, we have a lot of great tools that actually help get your data in here. First of all, our team, we're, of course, seeing all sorts of different things. We can guide you and show you exactly how the best way to get your data into the system. But let me show you just a couple of the tools at your fingertips if, you're more tech savvy and you really want to get at it. Great ways just to get your data right into the system. So the first option I'm going to show you is just an Excel import. So you have your clients in an Excel, first name, last name, email, whatever, lots of details, not a lot of details, it doesn't matter. You can come in here, upload this, and then on the next screen, it's basically just kind of click and drag, saying how do I want this to map into the system, and it'll all upload. Right? So it's very easy. We give the tools to you Not that you have to call us and then we take a week and then this. If you have your Excel sheet, you can upload it here and you can get it imported within a matter of minutes, right? That's really how we think is the best way for this, for really Cloven to succeed, is to empower our users. So that's option one, is the import. The other option that we see a lot of people doing is an import from another CRM. So maybe you've come from Salesforce, Dynamics, Act, we see a lot, even Maximizer. So there's pre-built tools in here, very similar to the Excel one, where you can get your information, upload it here, and basically just click and drag how you want it to come into Cloven, right? So again, these tools are here for you, empower you to use. The last one I'll mention are even, things like we have Google and Microsoft. Google is very similar to Microsoft. But basically, you can come in here and authenticate your Google connection, so all your Google contacts automatically show up in the CRM, right? And so that's there too. The last one that I'll show you is basically what we call kind of our industry import tools. And right now what we're showing is just the Blue Sun, but we have, on our roadmap, many more to add, things like Univeris, Index is another one we're hearing a lot of. And this list is going to build out. But again, this Blue Sun one here is the example. We do have a pre-built tool to get data from Blue Sun if you're using that right into Cloven. So you say, okay, well, which one do I want to choose? That's my only option. I'll give you a little video on how to extract data from Blue Sun, and then you just upload it and all the data comes into Cloven quite nicely. So that's taking a step back and saying, okay, everything's great here, but how do I get the data? And you really have, I think it went through 4 different options. We give you a lot of options depending on where you're coming from to really make this thing a success. And so that's kind of before all this. And then the other thing where people go is, okay, once I get all my information in here, what's the after, right? Where can I go? I do want to make sure everything's good and lined up and my data's good, but once I get that in there, what can I do? And we talked about it a little bit with reports and analytics, and that's a really popular one. But what I really like to show people is actually automations. And so that was the settings there. There's a lot of stuff there. I won't go through all of it. But this is a really, popular thing that a lot of people do. And so you can see is that, hey, once I get my policies in there, once I feel confident about the data, what you can do is start setting up these types of things. You can see it's all very nice and easy to understand, to view, and even to edit, right? So you can see here what I've set up as a life policy expiry campaign. It says, hey, 6 months before that policy renewal, and it's a life policy, and I have an insurance, a policy number, and a term type, and it's in force. So you actually, of course, want to market to this. Then send an email automatically to my clients. Not something you're going to have to do and sit here and do and send it out. The system will do it for you, which is such a great part of it. And you can see I've even made a sequence out of this to say, okay, well, that happened 6 months before, then 90 days later, so 3 months out, send another thing, and then 1 month out, send another one. And so you can set up these different drips to automatically go out, and you can see how easy it is to modify. Come in here and say, instead of a email, maybe I just want to create a task for myself or my assistant. Or maybe, some people are even sending text messages, right? We're seeing that quite a bit more. So you can really kind of tweak this and make it your own. So that's where we see a lot of people going, and that's really where a lot of the power is unlocked, is these types of automations. So there's a policy renewal. We have what's another good one here? Campaign following up to a review date. So if you do investments, you want to do a yearly review. We have a full module for reviews and making sure that the client knows about it and you're reaching out. Reaching out on the birthday automatically. System can do that. Even a proposed prospect outreach. So if you're working through that one pipeline there, actually automatic things that can happen. Say, hey, when I hit the stage of attempted to contact, send an email out that says, hey, I've just tried reaching out, right? Hey, I just tried to contact you, but wasn't able to get through. Is there an easy, can we book some time here? Book a call, right? So all those types of things really is hopefully where your wheels start turning to say, wow, this is super powerful. Once I get the information in here and feel very confident, there's a lot that I can do with it. The last thing I'll mention in terms of where we're going or where you could go with Cloven is our productivity suite. And this is really where I think a lot of our clients, their eyes start to go wide and say, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. So the productivity suite is just a bunch of tools. Each one of these icons that you see on the screen, it's a different tool that comes available to you at no extra cost. So these are all included and they're all integrated together. So what do I mean by that? So a very popular one we have is called Bookings. Bookings is kind of like Calendly, if people are familiar with that. It's a way you can send a link to clients, they can click it and they can book time with you. So again, completely included, no extra cost. This is kind of what it looks like there. But since it's integrated with the CRM, as soon as someone books a meeting with you, that meeting's going to appear on that contact's profile, if you remember in that meeting section, automatically, right? So nothing you have to do. The system and these different tools just talk to each other by default. So that's a really popular one. Sign, which is an e-sign, is also very popular. It's kind of like DocuSign, very much like DocuSign. Forms is even popular, right? This is kind of like an online form. We talked about KYCs earlier. A lot of people, instead of manually doing KYC, like the idea of being able to come in here, create a form, which you can customize, make it your own, and then just send that to a client, right? Instead of having to manually do it now, it's sent out. They can do it on their own time. They can do it on the bus to work or whatever. And for you, you're not going to have to spend any time typing into your system, and it integrates right into CRM, and you have that digital record of all these things. And honestly, there's a lot more here. I won't go through all of them because there's quite a few, but again, that's that productivity suite and where we see people going with Cloven. So I think that's where I'll pause for today. I hope this was useful. If you do have any other questions or comments on this, again, we can cover it in the demo itself, or if you just want to shoot us an email, please by all means. But thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate the time and attention. And yeah, thanks. Bye for now.